Hello people of YouTube, welcome to another video. Now I know a lot of you have been asking me on this channel to see more magic, and a lot of my stuff is mainly chats with magicians, but I think I'm going to bring you a video that you're going to enjoy. So today I have with me one of my favorite coin magicians in the world, Danny Goldsmith. So we're going to find out about Danny, what he does, how he gets his magic. Maybe he's going to give you some advice on coin magic, and hopefully we'll see some beautiful routines. So Danny, take it away. Tell us a little something about you. How did you get into magic in the first place? And why did you choose coin magic over some other forms of magic out there?
So hey everyone. I got started, let's see, it was about 17 years ago now, almost. And I was actually at my grandfather's funeral, and he was a coin collector. So a lot of my coins actually come from him. And, you know, I had huge amounts of silver dollars and walking liberties and even like the Mercury dimes and Buffalo nickels. And I had all these coins. And when he passed away, that was a huge moment for me, because he was the most supportive person in my life and somebody who really just taught me the value of hard work and was just a profoundly influential person. You know, I think we all know someone like that in our lives who we'll never really forget. And this was the first like real grief I think I'd ever experienced. And you know, I was 15 at the time, and I had a coin in my hand. It wasn't a Morgan. Surprise, surprise. Some of you may know I only use large coins. It was a Liberty $50. I still own those too. And I was just holding the coin in my hand, you know, and just kind of observing it, sitting at his funeral. And one of his friends came along, a man I didn't know actually. And he said, "Hey, can I see that?" And I was a little kind of taken back from this request, but I was like, okay. And he put it on his finger, just like this, and he just went like that, and it was gone. He showed both his hands empty. And I was, you know, stunned. And it was the first time I'd ever seen magic live. And there's a few things from this experience that stuck with me. But at first, I was just in a state of awe. It's just, whoa, you know, never seen him in person before. I just looked at him. I didn't want to be rude. I didn't want to ask him how he did it. I felt like I wanted to kind of cherish this experience. But I was wavering between this kind of sadness of my grandfather grieving and this joy and wonder of having that experience. And I think he saw this, because I think there was some guilt in terms of feeling so happy at my grandfather's funeral. And he said, "Here, I'll teach it to you." And it's an old principle. But he taught it to me, and I was hooked in that moment. I practiced all day, and I had this experience of, you know, this sense of wonder that came about through seeing something new in a completely new way. And, you know, the grief of my grandfather's funeral at the same time. And slowly throughout the day, those experiences became kind of one experience. There became this new outlook towards even my grandfather's passing, and the sense of looking at the wonder of, you know, life and death and that whole process. So that moment in magic had such a huge influence on me, and that got me hooked. And from there, I ran with it. I started cards and coins simultaneously, actually. I did both for the longest time. But my first magic book, which wasn't even mine, I came across it in a bookstore. It was Bobo's Modern Coin Magic, and I couldn't afford it. We were very poor when I was young, and I could only go in, and you weren't even supposed to sit in there and read the book. So I snuck in. I would go sit in the back corner, and I would memorize as much of the book as I possibly could, and then go home and take my grandpa's coins and practice. You know, card stuff through like YouTube, and eventually, you know, through mentorship and books and stuff. But yeah, that's how I got started.
Great. So I think let's just go straight into performing some of your routines, and then we'll take it from there. If you have any questions, I know this is not really live. This is going to be edited, so I can't really take requests and questions out from people. But I'm sure at the end of this, we're going to give everyone your Instagram and your contact details where people can follow you and check you out. So there, please ask as many questions as you can. Danny is always doing Instagram lives, and he's always happy to answer questions. So what would you like to show us, Danny? I'm gonna put your screen as a spotlight video.
So you guys, some people really love the the eating of the coin. Now, I'm going to tell you a secret about this. This is solid metal. You want to be careful eating something like this because it's not ideal on your teeth, especially if you stretch it out to like a significantly larger coin. This is even more so. Like that's solid, right? The only way you're going to eat this is to be able to compress it, right? You have to like squeeze it down really small like this. So it becomes really tiny. And because of how tiny it is, because it can also stretch back out, right? That is a solid coin. It's actually still possible to eat this because of its ability to be flexible, right? So I'll show you guys because you probably don't believe I can do this, but here we go. Okay. Sorry, that's hard to keep down. You want to be careful. That's a bit big. You will choke on it. It's much more ideal to take something like this and break it into these smaller size coins like this. These are so much easier to eat. Eat these all day. Yeah. So.
Wow. Well, now you know, people, why I think Danny is one of my favorite coin magicians in the world is because, tell me something, Danny, you don't use a lot of, I mean, we could say this word, gimmicks out there. I think you're one of these purists, and I think that's why I like you. Again, I always think having gimmicks in the real world when you're performing and you have, I don't want to go into more details about it, but then people seem to do unbelievable things with that. But for you do, you're pretty much doing, I would say, the same thing without having gimmicks. And that's why, as a magician, you are a magician's magician. But do you perform a lot to the public or mainly to magicians?
Yeah, so I, when I started off, I performed for friends and family and things like that. I started doing gigs, so I've done, corporate events, walk around, table hopping for a little bit, but the majority of time I spent doing street magic. So street performance in the sense of like busking, right? You get out there, you pull a crowd of 50 people, you do a show, you send them on their way, and you do it again as many times in the day as you can fit in. And that I loved because I wasn't working for anyone but myself. If I wanted to take a break, I took a break. When I wanted to perform, I performed. And I performed for lay people for a really, really, really long time. And I still prefer that over magicians. Well, kind of. So it was about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, I ruptured a disc in my spine, and I've had difficulty standing for long periods of time or being on my feet for very long. And so I stopped doing gigs. I couldn't bring my table with me. I couldn't be out and about so much. And so that was kind of when I started my social media platform. Started my social media account on Instagram and a few other different platforms, and started getting attention through that. And then I got so interested in performing magic for magicians and hopefully trying to inspire magicians to kind of reconnect with that experience of wonder, because I think we want to create magic that invokes wonder in people. And that's my word choice. A lot of people, childlike wonder, awe, amazement. There's, fill in the blanks. Some people like to think these words all mean something different, but yeah. So for me, I was like, oh man, so many magicians lack this. After a while, we get so consumed with, method and the trick and all these things that we forget to experience that sense of wonder. And therefore, we forget what we're offering. And so I think it's important for us to think in new ways and keep each other inspired in that way. So we remember what's at the core of this platform.
That's true. In fact, I didn't know about you until Yanai. So I think he is one of your students, or you have taught him something. He mentioned.
Yanai.
Yeah. So Yanai is one of. He's been on my last channel actually. He was part of my coin rolling challenge video that we did. We try to see who can roll the coins fastest in a minute. And
Nice.
but this is Yanai told me about you a while ago, and he said one of my favorites is Danny Goldsmith, and I didn't know who you were. When I looked you up, and I said, okay, clearly I can see why. And I'm pretty sure the people watching this also are now going to fall in love with you and check out some of your stuff. So speaking about some of your stuff, could you show us something else, please?
This one's fun. It's I hesitant to do this because it gives away a secret to so many of my routines, which is, you know, how magicians produce silver. It's we leave it in the air kind of before we start a gig, right? So there's like these little pieces, silver, that we kind of leave sitting around, and they can be stretched out, you know, and be made into whole, you know, silver coins. Now, of course, these, like I said, these aren't just floating around everywhere. Magicians have to, like, if you have a gig, you got to go there in advance and you got to place these, right? So what you do is you take the coin, you compress it down like this, so you squeeze, take it out, and then you hang it in the air like that. And that's really what occurs. It actually, you know, goes. Now, you can get these back at any point, right? You take them, you can even split them into smaller pieces, so you can actually hang a bunch of these up. But any one of these pieces is actually pretty solid and dense and is in its own right a coin. So you can take a couple of these pieces, stretch them out, you know, and from that, get some silver. And of course, there's a bunch of these in the air as long as you set them up there in advance. And so with all of these there, you can, you know, just keep producing money endlessly. And what's nice about this is it comes down to how many you lay there. But if you put enough in the air there, you can do it forever.
Wow. Oh man. So I don't even know what to ask you from here. Just watching something that is truly magical. This must take you hours and hours of practice, as you know, people say the same thing to me sometimes when I show them some stuff. But I think you're so much more better than what I do. I just feel bad with some of my stuff after watching your stuff. I need to get back and practice this. This is amazing. So where could people buy this stuff? This is all, I'm guessing, original material, right?
Yeah. So the jumbo stuff, especially the, you know, like the how to eat one of these and stuff like that. Oh wait, did I teach that somewhere? Oh, I offered it on a special package deal. Oh, I'll give you the link if you want to share it in the
Put the link, and then I'm going to save that in the video below this description. So anyone watching this, you can click on the link, and then you'll see all Danny's work.
So that'll go to my Gumroad with a special deal that's got like a bunch of stuff in it. I actually packed a whole bunch of things in for a really good price. So go check it out, read the description. There's a lot. Even some routines I haven't released anywhere else. So they're hidden gems.
Great.
But yeah, you know, I have that. My work is on gumroad.com/Danny Goldsmith. It's my new page that I'm kind of going to be adding more stuff to in the future. So you guys can go subscribe there. But then I have products on Illusionist. I have Silversmith and Voyage is on Illusionist. I've got Insights, which is available through CopelandCoins.com. So that's another one you guys can check out.
Great. So when are you going to come down to England?
I think you're fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I paid him to say that. We have to catch up. I've never really met you in person, so I'm looking forward to that. When do you think you're going to be in England?
I would really love to get to the next Blackpool convention.
Yes,
so we'll see what happens with all of this.
You need to be lecturing at Blackpool. That's what we got.
Yeah, I would love that. Yeah. Somebody actually, somebody who knows those people said he was going to refer me. So maybe one day you guys will see me lecture at Blackpool. Yeah, and I have so much fun going to conventions. Magicians see me do so many things that they go, oh, that's great Instagram magic. It's the thing I hear often. And I go to a lot of conventions out here in America. So if you guys are around here, the Tricks Convention, North Carolina, I'm at. The Rocky Mountain Sessions, I'm at every year because the Rocky Mountain Sessions are where I live. I live in the Rocky Mountains. You guys might notice already, this is not an image. This is my actual background in my office.
I was going to say, yeah.
Mountains. And some of my students, they're like, oh, that's a nice painting. And then they see a bird fly by and they go,
yeah. That's great.
Bleep that out.
So that's all right. So what is your favorite routine to perform?
Yeah, so yeah, actually what I was just getting at there was one of the things I've done for a lot of magicians and is my go-to for spectators as well as is from my first project, Insights. And this is one of those routines I do it for people. You know, magicians see it online and they go, oh, you can't do that in real life. That's way too angle sensitive and all the things. But I've actually done this routine for a convention room full of 150 magicians. So this one's fun. It's on space pockets. You guys know what space pockets are? It's this idea that space goes inward infinitely to a single point, right? So basically, instead of also just going outward, but space can also infinitely go inward, in which case, in any given point, there can be an infinite amount of space, right? So you can fill in these little space pockets, and you can get some money out of them. It's pretty neat, right? And this is a lot more practical than you could possibly imagine. Sorry, the space pockets themselves are really small, and due to that, they can fall through your hands. It's a weird thing. They also affect gravity and all kinds of other things. But let's get back to the space pockets, which is that this is super practical. Let's say you go to the theaters. Right? In America, you're not allowed to bring food in. I don't know if that's everywhere, but if you want to sneak your chips in, you put them in there, and then, you know, when you want to eat, you pull them out of your space pocket, which is such an easy way to sneak your snacks in. Now, excuse me, sorry, I got ahead of myself there. And those are not chips, these are coins, and those will totally get stuck. Excuse me. Yeah. Ew. I'm sorry. That's gross. I'm gonna put that back. Yeah. There we go. Nope, same issue. Sorry, hold on. Okay. Ew. All right. I'm so sorry. Even the whole coronavirus thing, this is exceptionally gross. Space pockets are also good for disposing of such things. There we go. And yeah.
It is so good, so good. It definitely works. It's definitely a worker. I think for people who are saying this is Instagram magic, you're wrong. This definitely works. It's so good. Wow. Because I know some of the people say that my stuff is angly when I perform a coin in pen.
Right.
And it's
and I've seen videos for people using, you know, well, I won't say what palms and stuff, but you know.
Yeah.
Stuff that a lot of magicians are totally afraid to do. You know.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why. I think you just need to try it out and see what works.
Wow. Yeah, this package deal also has a master class on angles. So if that's something you guys are interested in.
Yeah, actually, could you give the people a bit of advice? I know we spoke about it earlier, and I said I can't really be teaching magic on this channel, and because for me, I like supporting creators. So although I've got nothing wrong with certain people that want to teach magic on YouTube, it's fine, absolutely fine. For me personally, I don't want to have this channel as a teaching channel. But I definitely want to support creators. So if anyone's performing something, I want to leave them with a link. Just so I like to educate more people on how we should do things apart from just give away free stuff. But can you give away some sort of advice to magicians, especially because the channel is all about giving advice to magicians? Maybe we can talk about certain things like angles or misdirection or anything. Go ahead, Danny.
Yeah, so I'll leave the angles thing to the package thing that you can go check out. That opens up a whole world of things for you guys. There's so much that this impossible stuff you see on Instagram you think can't be done in the real world. Once you start to understand these principles, you've got a superpower in your hand. You could go out and do things you previously thought were impossible just by understanding a few core things that magicians, for the most part, have overlooked. But I want to talk to you guys about about vanishes. Right? I'm trying to talk about this in a way that doesn't give anything away. But whether it's like, a silver dollar or it's a jumbo thing like this thing, right? We have to be natural in our movements. Whether it's making that disappear or it's making something like this disappear, how do we do it in a way that feels very clean and natural? So I'll talk to you guys about a couple of things here. And I'm just going to point out a few major mistakes I see magicians make. And I've been guilty of these too. sometimes still am, and that is your body language. A lot of magicians, even just in a simple retention, their elbows come up, and I'm dramatizing this, exaggerating it a bit, but even just that is too much. Your hands coming together and taking a coin is a really simple thing. It shouldn't take much. Another thing is if your hands are at rest in front of your shoulders, naturalness is mostly based on economy of motion. We as human beings are masters of economy of motion, of efficiency of motion. We don't do unnatural things. But magicians I see do a lot of funny things, one of which is what I'm going to refer to as the hop. And the hop is when they go do a move, they do this. They want to give themselves more time to do the move, so they bring their hands up to do it. And we don't realize how silly this looks until all of a sudden you do it with an object that's not a coin. You go, that's weird looking. And this is because as magicians, we're so familiar with seeing each other do this over and over and over again online. And then because the timing was so good and you saw the light between the hands, you're like, oh, that's fantastic. So then everyone keeps doing things. And sure, the light looks good, but if you did this for a spectator, that they would look so weird to them. To us, we go, oh, that's a great retention. To them, you just did this. Right? You're just handing an object. It's not you don't have to make a thing of it. You still get that great flash of light and not have, this dramatic moment. So one thing for you guys to apply is, let your hands rest, have them swing together and swing apart. They shouldn't be there very long. It's in constant motion. Because if you watch anyone hand something, that's what they do. So if you have to pause to do a move, or your hands have to be together too long to do that move, you're not ready for that move. You're not ready to be performing that move. There's a lot of simpler things you can work on. There's all these kind of nice little subtle types of vanishes. This is one of my absolute favorites because of how natural it is.
Nice.
If your spectator doesn't know what you're about to do, if you're not telegraphing with your too much tension, or you say, I'm going to vanish a coin, which you shouldn't do, but your actions are natural, then they don't know what's coming. They have no reason to think you didn't toss the coin. So now when it vanishes, it's, whoa. So these simple motions, as long as they look natural, can be a lot more deceptive and fooling. So it's just something for you guys to play around with and looking at is, it's let the body relax when you do a move. You don't look at your hands when you do it. Just in the same way that I don't hand my water bottle to my other hand like this. I know where my hands are in space. Don't look at your hands. Relax. Let your hands come together and come apart. This weird thing is the stationary hand and then the delivering hand. Like you're two separate entities, right? You're treating yourself like you have a split personality, basically. Like this is the giver and this is the receiver. And unless you tell them you're doing a puppet show, that looks really weird. But we've become so accustomed to seeing these over and over and over again that they now are familiar to us. And familiarity starts to blend into a feeling of naturalness because of context. But we have to remember spectators see really odd motions with these things. So something to look at, guys, because I hear so many magicians say, I don't get reactions with my coin magic, or nowhere near the reactions of my card magic or whatever. And when I look out at what most magicians are doing with coins, it's to say this very kindly, it's quite obvious why. It's we've gotten these really bad habits of doing these weird, over-exaggerated things, and then it's spreading like a virus, like it's contagious, and everyone keeps seeing other people do it. And just because that light flashed between the fingers and you swore you saw it up to the last moment, now all the other weird aspects of it are okay. So we have to look at these kinds of subtleties because this simple is best.
Great advice. Honestly, fantastic advice. What is your opinion on things like America's Got Talent or something? Is that something that you would consider doing in the future?
Yeah, I've been asked this. I don't know. I'm not like some people they just want to be that. They want to perform and big audiences, perform for a lot of people, get out there and share their magic with the world. And I think that's a beautiful approach. I think that's great, each their own. For me personally, I don't know. I don't want to make too much of a career out of the performance side of things.
Okay.
I found myself really getting caught up in that in a way that was a little too egotistical personally for myself. And not to say not everyone is that way with it, but for me it was very much look at me. And
Yeah.
I took a break because of that. That turned, I was turned off by myself. I was just like, whoa, that's not how, this is a gift. It's such a beautiful thing to be able to share with somebody and give them that moment of wonder. Like I talked about my experience of my grandpa, like that these moments have immense power. They can dislodge you from your normal ways of thinking and allow you to see in a way that has a little more possibility. So I love performing for people for fun, and so I love teaching magicians how to do this better, or at least in my opinion, what I think is better and what I've found to be better. Everything you see is stuff I've tried and tested countless times on the street. You do the same routine 100 times a day on the street, and you got to manage audiences, and that's you want to get really good really quickly. go street performance.
Yeah. I said that last time. Yeah. That's so. I'm sure people want to know, because I said you're one of my favorites. Who are your favorite magicians? That could be any genre, any category.
So there's a lot. I love Mario Lopez because I love a lot of the Spanish style magicians, because in the West especially, we have, so sorry, I refer to America as the West. I guess even Europe is Western world.
No, but yeah, I know what you mean.
You get what I'm saying. We do the very much look at me, look at how great I am, I'm amazing kind of approach. And, people will compare themselves to that. That's challenging. When you have to be the smartest guy in the room or approach magic like, hey, look at me, I'm the smartest guy in the room, you're also communicating to everyone else that you're not. And people will take that as a challenge. And that doesn't make them receptive to that experience. Because the experience of magic or wonder is experience of not knowing. And that takes some humility and vulnerability on their part to rest in that experience of, oh, wow, I don't know. And to enjoy that, especially in the age of information where you can know anything at a click of a button. To not know something is kind of embarrassing these days. Yeah. So we have to carry them into that experience in a way that I think is gentle. So what was the original question?
Who are your favorite magicians? And you said Mario Lopez, who I think is fantastic too.
Yeah. So Spanish style magic is very much like, oh, the magic's happening. It feels like it's not just here, but it's in the environment. And that's something that I love. You imagine that your environment is magical. Because if you imagine that your environment is magical and magic happens, then it's not, oh, I do magic and you don't. It's, look, magic is around us. And that's something that I think an audience can really connect with. And I think, I also love like really good presentation. And I love presentation that's clever and well thought out and gives the spectator something to imagine with you, because then it's a mutual process. They get to experience magic through imagining and possibility. And then we bring it to life with our visual effects, right? We're like the special effects in our good movie. The focus is still the story, right? And because that's something that's relatable as a spectator. And the moves are the special effects. Whereas so many magicians perform, the moves are everything. But the problem is if the moves are everything, then the spectator has to develop a relationship to this idea of moves. Yeah. And of course it's going to be, okay, how is he doing that? Because they're not a magician. They don't do moves. It's not something they can easily connect on. But if the focus is a story, if it's a presentation, that's something they can relate to. That's something that they can imagine with you and can occupy their mind, so they're not worried with puzzling on method, which takes them away from that experience of magic. So I love magicians who do that, and they do that whether it's through a great story of speech or a character that's like what's going on. And so Mario Lopez I love so much. I got to meet him at the Tricks convention last year, and it was just such a joy to meet him and hang out with him. And he's just such a character, and he tells the story without, he doesn't even need his speech. It's just a story, and you connect with it. Yeah. And so I love a lot of the Spanish style magic. I love Danny Ortiz even, and he doesn't tell his story, but his his character becomes so much the focus.
Yeah. Yeah.
This overly like exuberant man that goes is basically just saying over and over again to you, look at the magic, you know,
Yeah, I
in
know.
this
Yeah.
way that you can't focus enough on method because
Mm.
he's just got this presence.
True.
But then there's great magicians like so Eric Mead. You know, Eric Mead's come out to Rocky Mountain Sessions often, and he did just a 3-coin vanish that
Yeah.
I swear the coin was in his hand for each one, and they were
Yeah.
gone. You know, he takes the next one, it's just boom. And I was just like, when is this happening? What? But you know, and I haven't felt like that in a really long time. So this like really messed me up, and that was influential for me because it was in that moment that I realized how important tension and relaxation was, how important timing and pacing was, as not the move he was using. When I asked him what moves he was using, he goes, very basic things. He showed me the moves, and it didn't even matter. I still didn't know how he did it because his timing and his pacing and his misdirection, his use of tension and relaxation were so good that you didn't have a chance.
Yeah,
and,
once you master that, any moves could be,
I mean, yeah. So that's been a lot of my study lately, is looking at that aspect of naturalness and proper motivation.
Great. I had another chat with a friend of ours, a mutual friend, Avi from Singapore, who is I would say a young kid. I could say. Again, his stuff again is so creative, and you know, it's amazing to chat with him. Another guy I want to get on this channel is Makoto. He's a street performer. Yeah, Makoto, wonderful guy. He does a lot more flourishes with coin stars and that sort of thing. Any sort of that, the coin stars and those sort of things? Or?
No, I wish I should learn that stuff. Yeah, I can't even do a roll down. You know, where you
right, the knuckle down. Yeah, but you know, I think you're more magical compared to Makoto, and Makoto's got more the skill style. But I guess that's the beauty of it. Everyone is so different about what they do. And
yeah, there's so many ways for the magic to be valuable. So many different ways of expression. Makoto's. I never met him in person. I hope to meet him in person because I've seen clips of his like street performance, and I could tell his audience have so much fun because he has this charisma to him and confidence, very much like yourself. This very, very cool, confident approach to magic that airs on the side of like the feeling of mastery, right? Which I think is really, you know, there's so many different characters. That's one, and I've always loved that character, and I wanted to be that character when I first started magic, and then later I was like, no, you're kind of more of this goofy thing.
That's the advice I give a lot of the younger magicians too. You know, I say always find out what you are. You know, because there's so many tricks out there. We can go to conventions and buy so much of stuff out there, but I think it's important to actually perform the kind of stuff that fits with your character. You know, if you're a mentalist, then there's no point in you buying like a card effect that is more on the flourishy side. So I guess that's quite important, knowing your character and then figure out what that person would perform, and then take it down that way. But sorry, I don't know where I was going with that, but
no, I think that's beautiful. Yeah, and I think you have to honor yourself and appreciate who you are to see what are these qualities that I already have and how do I bring that to my magic, rather than looking at other magicians and going, how can I be like that?
Yeah.
Which the problem with that is, sure, you may be able to emulate that to some degree, and that may slowly over time start to shape your personality. But meanwhile, you're acting from a place of kind of becoming something other than what's inherent in you. And it becomes difficult at that point to be genuine and to be authentic. And more than the character itself, it's the genuineness in which you embody the character that your spectators connect with. Because when you say with your body and who you are and your speech and your way of carrying yourself, I am who I am, and I'm not trying to be anything else, that is so respectable and honorable from anybody watching, because it reminds them that they can just be who they are. And there's no greater sense of, love and wisdom than that, is that you're good just as you are. And, so trust yourself to be who you are, find what your qualities are, and, how do you bring that out?
That's great. So Danny, in conclusion, would you like to show us something else, or is there anything else you want to do?
We'll see if we can make this work. This is a really fun idea of our own. May not work, but we'll try it. So guys, earlier we talked about the little space pockets. Interesting thing about space pockets, they totally mess with the space-time continuum. They distort space and therefore they distort time. Weird things happen. You can go to produce coin, and sometimes you don't see it until a moment later. And the reason why is because you get this time delay that occurs. And then, you know, when it's actually happening and when you're perceiving it happening can be different times due to the space pockets. Hold on. There we go. So there's another one. Yep, there it is. Sorry. As you talked about, takes a moment. Now, this is tricky because at what point does it know you're about to do something? If I think I'm going to vanish a coin, then does it? Yeah, see, it could have already happened, right? This makes it really challenging because you have to be ahead of the game, right? You have to know what you're going to think before you think it. Because if the space pocket knows what you're going to think before you think it, then you have this complication, right? You have this this moment where you thought it knows you're about to do it. Now you have a delay in space-time and perception, and therefore it's. I did think about vanishing it. I did, didn't I?
Great. Wow, you got me badly on that one. You really got me there. I enjoyed that. Thank you. Wow, what a way to finish. So thank you, Danny, for doing this. I'm pretty sure all of you on YouTube had a great time watching this video. If you like that, definitely go and check out Danny. Follow his Instagram. Check out the links below of all his products that he's selling. And I'll see you guys in 2 days. This is a different video than I normally do. I normally have conversation and everything, but this is a little different. But I wanted to show you something that I am really passionate about, which is Danny Goldsmith and his magic. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you very soon. Take care. Bye, everyone.